it's Elegant Granny, and I want to come on and talk about something I had started on Monday. I was talking about the process of letting go. And letting go, just to give a recap of what I was talking about, I started out talking about giving an example of when you're in your home and you come in your home from outdoors and you lock your doors and everything. What you're doing is you're letting go of what has occurred outside. You're coming into a new place where it's more comfortable. You're refreshing and you're being renewed, and it's almost like you're going through a rebirth because you're coming home to replenish yourself before you go back out the next time to deal with what's going on in the world. You let go of your day. You let go of everything that has happened when you come in and you eat your food, your dinner. If you're coming home from work or school that evening, you take your bath before you go to bed. You're what old people used to say is it's a spiritual motion of letting go. You're washing off all of the day off of you before you go to bed. So today, what I'm going to talk about is another part of what I equate letting go with, and that is forgiveness. I equate them together because you pretty much do the same. When you let go, when you're forgiving, you are in the motion of letting go. You're not holding on to something that has caused you to be resentful or to be angry or to be very uncomfortable with your life. And so what I also want to use for an example is my experience working in the mother-baby unit years ago. My experience of working with taking care of the mothers was I got to understand the process of what the baby goes through while it's still in the womb of the mother. So what's going on is the baby is very comfortable, is in a place where it doesn't have to ask for a lot of what it needs to get what it wants. Is in a place of comfortability. It's getting all of its nutrients that it needs from the mother. It's getting sound and vibration and warmth and love from the parents' voices as it speaks to it, and music, and from the music that they play for it while it's still in the womb. But then there comes a time when it's time for the baby to grow, and to express that growth. It is being born or birthed into a new area, just as when you're coming in your home from outside and locking the door. The baby is now going outside of the mother of its house to experience that part. It has to let go of what it was comfortable with to begin to grow and experience life on the outside. But the thing is, once it leaves that place, it gets into a place of uncomfortability. Same thing with forgiving someone. It's a very uncomfortable place to be in sometimes when you let go of something that was bothering you. Because sometimes that thing that was bothering you becomes comfortable to us. It's almost sometimes like it becomes a part of us. Because we get so comfortable with how that emotion is causing us to feel. It feels good to be angry at someone sometimes, especially when they've done something to you that really, really hurt. And so I've been in that place quite a few times in my life. And so, but I had to grow out of it. And to get back to the experience of the baby as it comes out the mother's womb, it has to get comfortable with visualizing who these people are now, instead of just hearing sound like it did when it was in its mother's womb. It now has to visualize, open its eyes and visualize where it was in the dark at one time. Now it has to visualize and focus on where the sound has actually come from. that child has now grown from, okay, now I'm no longer just hearing and being in the dark. Now I can actually open my eyes and I see different things. I see different objects. I have to figure out now where this sound is coming from. And as it continues to grow, as it gets a few months old, then it starts focusing and honing in, okay, this sound is mommy's voice. This sound is daddy's voice. This sound is my brother or my sister's voice. Grandparents, so on and so forth. Same thing as you are moving on in life with forgiveness. There are things that you let go of that you were comfortable with. So now that you have grown into a space of letting go of that thing, you are able to have a broader vision on what's more important in life. And that is you. You stop placing blame on things that don't matter and people who really have actually moved on with their life while you're still hanging on to something. And so I also want to say that forgiveness is not just a thing that you say. It is a thing that you do. And it's a lifestyle, actually. It's a process. Forgiveness is a process, not just something you say, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. It's more to it than that. It's actually a process. You have to go through some different areas in your own life in order to be able to begin to let go so you can forgive someone or a situation that has happened to you. I'm going to talk about 4 different areas that require you to look into yourself and cause some things to happen. The first thing is self-awareness. This is like where your consciousness and you master your emotions. Think about when these situations happen, how they make you feel. What are they doing to you? How are they affecting you emotionally? Are they making you angry, sad? You want to cry? You want to scream? Are you upset? Are you happy? Most in general, you will not be happy. It's just another emotion I'm just throwing out there. You need to see how these things make you feel. And you need to understand why they make you feel the way you feel. That's important. That's being aware of you. You can't do that when you're still holding on to something that is harming you. When you are holding on to it, you are not aware of how it is really making you feel until you're like, hey, I'm angry. Hey, I'm upset. Hey, I'm crying. I'm sad. And the only way to do that is to spend more time with yourself. I talk a lot about spending time with yourself. To become more self-aware, you have to spend more time with yourself in order to do that. A lot of people have a problem spending time with themselves. But until you do, you won't understand why you feel the way you do about different things. Another area is self-esteem, how you feel about yourself. When you're so focused on holding on to something that someone has said or someone has did to you, you tend not to think about how you feel about yourself other than the emotion of it. You forget about who you really are. Only thing you understand at that point is you're upset and you need something done at this moment. You want this person to make these things right. Sometimes it's not going to work that way. Everybody is not understand sometimes why you feel the way you do with what they say or what they do. Sometimes you just have to focus on, okay, since they're not going to do anything, then what I need to do is focus on me. How is this making me feel? Because if this is bringing me out of my character, then I need to do something about it. Another area that for us to focus on is our self-concept. This is the idea of what we have about ourselves. I may have an idea of one thing about me, and you may have another idea of how you feel about me. Now, my concept of myself is I think I'm a really good public speaker. Someone else may think otherwise. The reason why I think I'm a pretty good public speaker is because of when I do go out and I am on a platform where I can speak to many people, it's the response that I get back from them as I'm speaking, not afterwards, but as I am speaking. The response afterwards is how they are able to apply it after the speaking is over with. That's how I know that I am as good as I am. So we need to focus on that. And then another thing is the self-worth, the value we place on ourselves. The value we place on ourselves while we are in this existence is something else that we need to focus on. And it's not like a monetary thing. It's how can I best put this? How we, I'm trying to think of the word. I can't think of the word that I'm trying to say. But self-worth, the value we place on ourselves as far as where we fit in this realm. So my self-worth is for 30 some odd years, I have been in the medical industry as a CNA and as a mental health worker. At this point, the way the industries is going, I have done as much as I could go with what I have done already. If my self-worth, if I didn't feel the value or understand the value of my self-worth, in that time, I have understood how relationships work between the client that I am serving and the company that I work for and the individual's family who loves them, who has opened themselves up to the idea of this company taking care of my family member for me so that I can go on with my life and I can be comfortable that they are in a good and safe quality place. I have become that person where I have been the bridge to all these gaps, to all these different streams of people, of the client, the company, and the family. And there's a lot of us who have become that. And without that source, there's a lot of chaos that could go on without that. Me being the one with experience, I have learned how to take over on that. And I've learned how to satisfy those needs of all those involved. So another thing I wanted to talk about with forgiveness is it's not just, it's a process, but it's also a process to where you have to think about where you're going after you have started letting things go. Because if you don't have anywhere in particular to go, once you start letting things go, sometimes you get resentful and you start having regrets. Well, that didn't serve me, letting things go. So you end up going back to what was comfortable for you. I remember studying in school where we looked at the chitin of a snake and of a tarantula spider. This is something that I use as an example when I talk about forgiveness, because as they shed, sometimes when you look on the ground and you see the skin or the chitin of the snake or the spider, you think that's that actual thing right there, but it's not. They are gone. They have moved out. They have shed that old thing of them, and they have moved on to something new. That now they have gone through this rebirth. Same thing with us when we are going through the process of forgiveness. We have taken off everything that was weighing us down with the thing that we are holding on to, whether someone said something, somebody did something, or that we thought they should have did or said. because sometimes that's a factor. And a lot of times when I talk to people, that ends up being more of the case than someone actually did or say something. It was something that they thought someone should have said or did, which, you know, it's a thing to deal with. So the exoskeleton of the snake and the spider, it's no longer on them. It's a thing of the past. Same thing when you forgive and you let go. It has now become a thing of the past when you let things go. I don't have too much to talk about, else to talk about in this subject, but I just wanted to bring it back up because a lot of people have been talking and asking me about forgiveness. And I have this thing where people are always saying you have to forgive. They don't explain why it's important for you to forgive, other than it's more for you, not for the other person. Okay, but what does that look like? And it sounds more of a thing that you say and not more of a thing that you do. And a lot of people get frustrated because they don't understand that it is a process. And I'll probably do another video on talking about the process of going through that, because that's another whole thing in itself. And it's going to take some time to talk about. So I just wanted to come over here and talk about that. And then there's a responsibility to forgiving also, which I'll talk about at another time too. The responsibility is that you have to understand, in order to forgive, you have to become uncomfortable. It was very comfortable holding on to being angry at somebody, or being very sad because of this thing that was said or done, or that you thought was said or done. Once you begin to let that go, is you find life comfortable again, because you're getting used to the rebirth and things, and doing things new, doing things differently than when you were holding on to something that you hadn't forgiven. You also realize it's time to grow again, and you have things that you need to do, and it all looks different to everybody. It doesn't look the same to everybody, and it's not going to be the same for everybody. So what it would take for me to forgive someone, it may look different for you. It's not going to be the same. It just depends on the situation. So I hope I said something to help you. I will come back again, and I will talk about this subject again. I just wanted to come in and say, hey, how you doing? I see my nephew, and I see, I'm not sure who else this is. Stun it if you want it. If you want, hi, how you doing? Thanks for coming in. And now I can't pronounce that. I'm sorry. But hello, how y'all doing? Hi, how you doing? Thanks for coming in, and thank you for the super hearts. I appreciate that. But I'm going to go off because I have midterms in one class this week and in another class next week. This is week 4, so I have 6 more weeks before I graduate, and I'm so happy. And so I'm going to get busy and get into that. So talk to you later. Bye.